Today on NewsXstreem, shockwaves in Kyiv, fire in the streets, and fury in Washington. Russia has unleashed its deadliest barrage on Ukraine's capital in nearly a year, killing at least 8 and wounding dozens more. And as missiles fall, so too does diplomacy unravel. President Donald Trump, now pushing aggressively for a ceasefire, publicly rebuked Russian President Vladimir Putin. But the timing and his tone have ignited fresh tension in an already volatile situation. At dawn, the sky over Kyiv was pierced by the roar of 70 missiles and 145 drones, targeting residential buildings and civilian infrastructure. The strikes left at least 8 dead, over 60 wounded, and a city gripped in fear. Ukraine's emergency services scrambled to respond, reporting 13 separate impacts across the capital, as images of burning buildings and twisted metal emerged across social media. "The first thing I felt was fear," said one resident, recounting the moment of waking to explosions. "You don't know if your family is alive or buried under rubble." Just hours after the attack, President Trump took to Truth Social, posting, "I am not happy with the Russian strikes on Kyiv. Not necessary and very bad timing. Vladimir, stop. 5,000 soldiers a week are dying. Let's get the peace deal done." Trump's urgent appeal came amid his controversial push for a ceasefire that, according to insiders, includes a proposal for the US to recognize Russian control of Crimea, a move that would reverse over a decade of American policy and spark international backlash. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, who was visiting South Africa at the time of the attack, cut his trip short, calling the missile barrage a direct attempt to pressure the US and disrupt negotiations. "Ukraine is willing to talk, but only after a full ceasefire," Zelensky said, rejecting any deal that compromises Ukrainian sovereignty. He vowed to consult with allies about strengthening air defenses, as he condemned the ceasefire proposal for asking Ukraine to make compromises with terrorists. As explosions rocked Kyiv, the fragile diplomatic framework began to falter. US Vice President J.D. Vance warned that negotiations may be abandoned if Ukraine and Russia don't respond to a very explicit proposal. A ministerial summit in London, originally planned with high-level leaders, was downgraded after US Secretary of State Marco Rubio abruptly withdrew. UK Foreign Secretary David Lammy accused Russia of sabotaging peace efforts, stating, "These are not the actions of a man of peace." Meanwhile, Steve Witkoff, Trump's Middle East envoy, is set to travel to Moscow on Friday for direct talks with Putin, a move that has raised eyebrows among European allies. Amid politics and proposals, Kyiv's reality is heartbreak. Rescue workers continue clearing debris by hand, fearing survivors remain trapped. Among the victims were a 21-year-old man and his 19-year-old sister, their lives cut short in their own home. "Rescuers are doing everything they can," said Kyiv Mayor Vitaly Klitschko, who urged residents to seek shelter and prepare for continued attacks. The Ukrainian Air Force confirmed that 5 ballistic missiles penetrated their defense systems, part of what Interior Minister Ihor Klimenko called a massive combined Russian attack that struck 8 regions across Ukraine. Tonight, the war in Ukraine enters a new dangerous phase. On one side, a White House urging compromise, suggesting territory might be negotiable. On the other, a Ukraine under fire, unwilling to trade land for peace after years of bloodshed. President Trump's direct call for Putin to stop may have sounded like diplomacy, but as Kyiv burns and Zelensky pushes back, the world is asking, is this really a path to peace, or is it pressure wrapped in politics? I'm John Smith, and this is NewsXstream, bringing clarity to conflict and truth to power. Stay tuned as we continue to follow the story that's shaking the globe.